Are we on? I think we're on. I think we're on. Hey, the KeysDAN Show. It's the KeysDAN Show. I need a new theme for the KeysDAN Show. You might hear news. You might learn stuff. You never know what you're going to get on the KeysDAN Show. Whoa, 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 whoa. What's up, party people? Happy Sunday to you. It is Sunday, March 14th, 2021. How are you? It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is the KeysDAN Show. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. I like to party with the people. Also, if you'd like to check me out doing some streaming, game streaming that is, I'm at hashtag KeysDAN Gaming. Find me on Twitch and find me on Facebook Gaming. Hashtag KeysDAN Gaming. Maybe you can give me some pointers. Maybe you could suggest a game or two for me to play. I've been stuck in Fortnite. I'm enjoying it, but it frustrates me sometimes because I want to get to the top of the Battle Royale. But I digress. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, well, amongst other things, 10 things you need to know today. I like to keep up on current events. So for Sunday, March 14th, 2021, 10 things you need to know today. Number one, crowd marches through Louisville on 1-year anniversary of Breonna Taylor's death. Hundreds of people gathered to march through Louisville, Kentucky on Saturday, the 1-year anniversary of the death of Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old black woman who was shot and killed by Louisville police during a raid of her apartment. Her mother, Tamika Palmer, led the Louisville rally, marching behind a large banner with an illustration of Taylor's face, while chanting, quote, "No justice, no peace," end quote. Taylor's death was one of the main catalysts for a series of nationwide protests against police brutality and racial injustice last summer in the U.S. Of the 3 officers involved in the raid, only one is facing charges for endangering Taylor's neighbors by firing into an adjacent apartment. The FBI on Saturday said it has, quote, "made significant progress," end quote, in an investigation into the shooting. President Biden said in a tweet Saturday that Taylor's death was a, quote, "tragedy," end quote, and called for, quote, "meaningful," end quote, police reform. This is according to Al Jazeera. Number 2, Biden administration tasks FEMA with aiding migrant children at border. The Federal Emergency Management Agency will support the Biden administration effort over the next several months to receive, shelter, and transfer minor children who arrive at the United States southern border without a parent or other adult. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said Saturday. DHS is supposed to transfer unaccompanied minor children to the Department of Health and Human Services within 3 days of their arrival at the border, so they can either be placed with their parent or another sponsor while their cases are resolved. But HHS shelters are now nearly at capacity. Quote, "A Border Patrol facility is no place for a child," end quote, Mayorkas said Saturday. So it appears FEMA's job will be to, quote, "find and expand suitable facilities," end quote, for the children. This is according to the Associated Press and NBC News. Number 3, North Korea not responding to Biden administration, official says. The United States has been reaching out to North Korea to no avail since mid-February, a senior Biden administration official told Reuters on condition of anonymity. The official provided a few details, but said Washington has tried to get Kim's attention through, quote, "several channels," end quote, including Pyongyang's mission to the United Nations in New York. quote, "To date, we have not received any response from Pyongyang," end quote. The official told Reuters, adding that it appears there has been no active dialogue between the U.S. and North Korea for more than a year, including the final months of the Trump administration. The Biden administration, meanwhile, has kept its North Korea plans mostly under wraps, saying only that a comprehensive policy review is underway. This is according to Reuters. Number 4, boxing great Hagler dies at 66. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, boxing's former undisputed middleweight champion, died Saturday. His wife, Kay Hagler, said he was 66. Kay Hagler said her husband passed away, quote, "unexpectedly," end quote, at his home in New Hampshire. Hagler first took the middleweight crown in 1980 and successfully defended his title 12 times, including a memorable fight against Tommy Hearns in 1985 that became known as, quote, "The War," end quote. He was eventually defeated in a 12-round split decision by Sugar Ray Leonard in 1987 and announced his retirement from the ring a year later. Hagler won 62 fights in his career, 52 by knockout, and lost only 3 times, along with 2 draws. He was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame in 1993. This is according to the Associated Press and CNN. Number 5, London police criticized for arrests at murder victims' vigil. London's Metropolitan Police Service is facing criticism after officers arrested multiple women who were attending a vigil for Sarah Everard, a 33-year-old woman who was kidnapped and murdered while walking home in London the night of March 3rd. A Metropolitan Police officer was arrested and later charged with both kidnapping and murder. Police said the arrests at the vigil were made for health and safety reasons, claiming it was, quote, "the only responsible thing to do," end quote, in light of a large group of people gathering in the same space during the coronavirus pandemic. The vigil's organizers actually called off the official event because they said law enforcement failed to come up with a strategy to hold it safely. UK Home Secretary Priti Patel said the footage of the arrest was, quote, "upsetting," end quote, and has asked the department for a full report on the incident. This is according to The Guardian and BBC. Number 6, at least 5 more people killed in Myanmar protests. At least 5 more people have been killed across Myanmar on Sunday as protests continued for the 6th week in response to the military's seizure of power in February. The previous day turned out to be one of the deadlier days since the movement began, with at least 13 fatalities. Per Reuters, videos showed the protesters confronting security forces in Yangon, Myanmar's largest city, carrying handmade shields and wearing helmets. In some parts of the city, people reportedly put up barbed wire and sandbags to block the security forces. Man Win Kahing Tan, the acting leader of Myanmar's parallel civilian government, has said the civilian government is seeking to give people the legal right to defend themselves. In one central Myanmar township, civilians declared they had formed their own local government and police force. This is according to Reuters. Number 7, Bolivian government arrests former interim president. Janine Áñez, Bolivia's former interim president, was arrested Saturday on charges of terrorism, sedition, and conspiracy over an alleged 2019 coup. Áñez replaced former President Evo Morales, the leader of Bolivia's socialist movement, after he was forced to resign amid allegations of election fraud and went into exile in Mexico. Áñez pushed the government's policies to the right and sought to prosecute Morales, but he eventually returned, and his chosen successor, Luis Arce, was elected president in November, handing power back to Morales' party. Áñez has accused the government of political persecution arguing she lawfully succeeded Morales. Former President Carlos Mesa seemed to concur, saying, quote, "They are seeking to decapitate an opposition by creating a false narrative of coup to distract from a fraud," end quote. This is according to Al Jazeera and the Associated Press. Number 8, Sri Lanka to ban burkas. Close more than 1,000 Islamic schools. The Sri Lankan government announced Saturday that it will ban women from wearing the burqa and shutter more than 1,000 Islamic schools in the Buddhist majority country. The government had already introduced a temporary ban on burqas in 2019 following terrorist attacks that killed more than 200 people. Sri Lanka's Minister of Public Safety, Sarath Weerasekaria, said, quote, "The burqa has a direct impact on national security," end quote, because, quote, "it is a sign of religious extremism," end quote. As for the school, Weerasekaria said, "We're not registered or following national education policy." Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa added Saturday that the government would grant itself new powers aimed at the, quote, "de-radicalization," end quote, of suspected extremists, which reportedly does not apply specifically to Muslims. The measures would allow authorities to detain anyone suspected of, quote, "acts of violence or religious, racial, or communal disharmony, or feelings of ill will, or hostility between different communities," end quote. This is according to Deutsche Welle. Number 9, Taylor Swift and Beyonce predicted as historic winners at 2021 Grammys. The 2021 Grammy Awards will take place on Sunday after being delayed almost 2 months due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and many pundits are predicting Taylor Swift will score Album of the Year prize for her hit quarantine album Folklore, though some think it might go instead to Dua Lipa for future nostalgia. If Swift wins, she would make history, becoming the first female artist to win that award 3 times after previously earning it for Fearless and 1989. Beyonce is expected to have a big night too. She leads the Grammy nominations with 9, and Gold Derby predicts she'll become the, quote, "most awarded woman of all time," end quote, with a total of 29 Grammys after possibly taking 5 more on Sunday. The Grammys, which will be hosted by The Daily Show's Trevor Noah, will air on March 14th on CBS at 8 p.m. There will be live performances, but no audience because of the pandemic. This is according to Gold Derby and The Week. Number 10, NCAA men's basketball tournament field to be set. The 68-team men's Division 1 NCAA basketball tournament field will be announced Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS. A few conference tournament championships, including the Big Ten and the SEC finals, will be played Sunday. But the bubble picture has become clearer, especially after Oregon State and Georgetown stunningly captured the Pac-12 and Big East tournament championships, respectively. Neither the Beavers or the Hoyas would likely have made the tournament without winning, making them so-called, quote, bid stealers, end quote, who will knock 2 teams out. There is little question as to who will be the tournament's number 1 overall seed. The 26-0 Gonzaga Bulldogs rolled through the season and will head to Indiana, where the entire tournament will be played because of the coronavirus pandemic, as the heavy favorites. This is according to the NCAA and ESPN. That's 10 things you need to know today for Sunday, March 14th, 2021. Thank you so much for listening. Hey, let's go through some history on this day. First, I want to give you some good news. Good news in history, March 14th. Happy birthday to the British film icon, Michael Caine. And every time I say Michael Caine, I got to say Michael Caine. You kind of say it in his Cockney voice, who turns 88 today. Known for his distinctive Cockney accent, the two-time Oscar winner also had 6 nominations for his role in The Quiet American and The Cider House Rules, Hannah and Her Sisters, Educating Rita, Sleuth, and Alfie. Alongside Laurence Olivier, Paul Newman, and Jack Nicholson, Caine is the only other actor to be nominated for an Academy Award for acting in 5 decades. His next feature film, The Great Escaper, is inspired by true events, telling the story of Bernard Jordan escaping from his nursing home to attend the 70th anniversary of the D-Day landings in France. During a career spanning 60 years, Caine's 130 films had earned, as of 2017, over $7.8 billion worldwide, which ranked him number 20 on the list of highest-grossing box office stars. He achieved success in diverse films, from Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill to The Muppet Christmas Carol, from Dirty Rotten Scoundrels to his portrayal of Alfred in the Batman blockbuster Dark Knight trilogy. Happy birthday, Michael Caine. On this date in history, hey, another birthday, March 14th, Albert Einstein was born. On March 14th, 1879, Albert Einstein is born, the son of a Jewish electrical engineer in Ulm, Germany. Einstein's theories of special and general relativity drastically altered man's view of the universe, and his work in particle and energy theory helped make possible quantum mechanics and ultimately the atomic bomb. After a childhood in Germany and Italy, Einstein studied physics and mathematics at the Federal Polytechnic Academy in Zurich, Switzerland. He became a Swiss citizen in 1905 and was awarded a PhD from the University of Zurich while working at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. That year, which historians of Einstein's career call the Annus Mirabilis, the miracle year, he published 5 theoretical papers that were to have a profound effect on the development of modern physics. In the first of these, titled On a Heuristic Viewpoint Concerning the Production and Transformation of Light, Einstein theorized that light is made up of individual quanta, photons, that demonstrate particle-like properties while collectively behaving like a wave. The hypothesis, an important step in the development of quantum theory, was arrived at through Einstein's examination of photoelectric effect, a phenomenon which some solids emit electrically charged particles when struck by light. This would later earn him the 1921 Nobel Prize in Physics. In the second paper, he devised a new method of counting and determining the size of atoms and molecules in a given space. And in the third, he offered a mathematical explanation for the constant erratic movement of particles suspended in a fluid known as Brownian motion. These 2 papers provided indisputable evidence of the existence of atoms, which at the time was still disputed by a few scientists. Einstein's 4th groundbreaking scientific work of 1905 addressed what he termed his special theory of relativity. In special relativity, time and space are not absolute, but relative to the motion of the observer. Thus, 2 observers traveling at great speeds in regard to each other would not necessarily observe simultaneous events in time at the same moment, nor necessarily agree in their measurements of space. In Einstein's theory, the speed of light, which is the limiting speed of any body having mass, is constant in all frames of reference. The 5th paper that year, an exploration of the mathematics of special relativity, Einstein announced mass and energy were equivalent and could be calculated with an equation, E equals mc squared. Although the public was not quick to embrace his revolutionary science, Einstein was welcomed into the circle of Europe's most eminent physicists and given professorships in Zurich, Prague, and Berlin. In 1916, he published The Foundation of the General Theory of Relativity, which proposed that gravity, as well as motion, can affect the intervals of time and space. According to Einstein, gravitation is not a force, as Isaac Newton had argued, but a curved field in the space-time continuum, created by the presence of mass. An object of very large gravitational mass, such as the sun, would therefore appear to warp space and time around it, which could be demonstrated by observing starlight as it skirted the sun on its way to Earth. In 1919, astronomers studied a solar eclipse, verified predictions Einstein made in the general theory of relativity, and he became an overnight celebrity. Later, other predictions of general relativity, such as a shift in the orbit of the planet Mercury and the probable existence of black holes, were confirmed by scientists. During the next decade, Einstein made continued contributions to quantum theory and began work on a unified field theory, which he hoped would encompass quantum mechanics and his own relativity theory as a grand explanation of the workings of the universe. As a world-renowned public figure, he became increasingly political, taking up the cause of Zionism and speaking out against militarism and rearmament. In his native Germany, this made him an unpopular figure, and after Nazi leader Adolf Hitler became Chancellor of Germany in 1933, Einstein renounced his German citizenship and left the country. He later settled in the United States, where he accepted a post at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey. He would remain there for the rest of his life, working on his unified field theory and relaxing by sailing on a local lake or playing his violin. He became an American citizen in 1940. In 1939, despite his lifelong pacifist beliefs, he agreed to write to President Franklin D. Roosevelt on behalf of a group of scientists who were concerned with American inaction in the field of atomic weapons research. Like the other scientists, he feared sole German possession of such a weapon. He played no role, however, in the subsequent Manhattan Project and later deplored the use of atomic bombs against Japan. After the war, he called for the establishment of a world government that would control nuclear technology and prevent future armed conflict. In 1950, he published his unified field theory, which was quietly criticized as a failure. A unified explanation of gravitation, subatomic phenomena, and electromagnetism remains elusive today. Albert Einstein, one of the most creative minds in human history, died in Princeton in 1955. Happy birthday, Albert Einstein. You've done a lot for this world on this date in history. Hey, also, March 14th is Learn About Butterflies Day. Let's learn about butterflies. In keeping with the spirit of Learn About Butterflies Day, celebrate it by learning a little more about the wide range of butterflies. With over 20,000 types of butterflies worldwide today, it is the perfect day to learn about butterflies. Their wingspan can range from a half an inch to 11 inches. Did you know that their adult stage butterflies can live from a week up to a year, depending on the species? Many butterflies migrate all over long distances. The most famous migrations are those of the monarch butterfly from Mexico to the northern USA and southern Canada, a distance of about 2,500 to 3,000 miles. That's a lot of air miles. Ways to celebrate Learn About Butterflies Day. If you need some inspiration on how to celebrate, there are 5 ideas for you to try. Number 1, start a butterfly garden. One of the best ways to attract butterflies to your garden is to plant nectar-producing flowers that have red, yellow, orange, pink, or purple blossoms. Plant them in a sunny spot in a group so they can grow in clusters. Number 2, make a butterfly snack. Fresh fruit is the perfect springtime snack, so use your imagination to whip up a fruity butterfly treat. You can also put a bit of fruit out in your garden for the butterflies to enjoy. Number 3, learn something you didn't know about butterflies. Did you know that a butterfly can't fly if its body temperature falls below 86 degrees Fahrenheit? Or that they drink the tears of turtles, and they use their feet to taste. Number 4, get crafty. Grab some card, pipe cleaners, and clothes pegs, and some pom-poms, and here's how to create your own butterfly. Decorate some card with markers and then spray it with water to create its wings. Once it dries, wrap a pipe cleaner around the middle of the card. Glue pom-poms onto the clothespin and clip the clothespin to the cards. Bend the pipe cleaner to make the antennae. Number 5, visit your local zoo. If in doubt, learn from the experts. Heading to your local zoo and talking to the keepers that look after these amazing creatures, from caterpillar to larvae and then to butterfly. They will be able to show you just how amazing these creatures are. It is Learn About Butterfly Day, amongst other things, on March 14th. I hope you're having a great day. That's it for this edition of the KeysDAN Show. Hey, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. And if you want to watch me stream some games, I'll probably do that in the next little bit. You can find me at hashtag KeysDAN Gaming. Find me on Twitch and find me on Facebook Gaming. Hashtag KeysDAN Gaming. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN. RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace.